All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to now go through the early window games from Sunday. I'll go through them and give you my thoughts on each of them. So let's start off with the Packers and the Rams. So Matthew Stafford did not play in this game. Brett Rippon got the start, and the Rams just could not get anything going on offense. They were terrible. The Packers, obviously they were in desperation for a win, and they got it, winning 20-3 over the Rams. So of course, last week I picked the I picked the Packers to beat the Vikings. Then I didn't pick the Packers this week, and of course that's when they get their win. I just really didn't trust them. I was like, listen, the offense can't move the ball in the first half. I mean, I thought maybe the Rams, being the better coach team. I thought even with Brett Rippon starting, I thought that they would still maybe come out with a win, but that wasn't the case here. That was not the case here, as the Packers, they end up getting the win. Like I said, 20-3. Brett Rippon, 13 of 28, 130 yards, no touchdowns, 8 yards. Cooper Kupp was their leading receiver. He had 2 receptions for 48 yards. Rams just could not get anything going offensively. As for Jordan Love, he was decent, 20 of 26, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Packers ran the ball for almost 200 yards. Aaron Jones finally had a good game, 20 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave, he scored his first career touchdown, 3 receptions for 51 yards on the day. And the Packers get to 3-5, and their next game is against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. 2 offenses that struggle to move the ball. So we'll see what happens there. So now we move on. Vikings and the Falcons. So what was interesting about this game was Jaren Hall got the start for the Vikings. Josh Dobbs obviously was acquired at the trade deadline, but he was not going to start because obviously, you want to give him an extra week, let him learn the playbook, let him, get acclimated. And he got thrown into the fire because Jaren Hall actually left the game with a concussion earlier in the game. So Dobbs came in, and the Vikings actually ended up winning 31-28. He went 20 of 30, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had a rushing touchdown in this game, ran the ball for 66 yards. He was their leading rusher. Alexander Madison, he had 44 yards on the ground. Cam Akers had 25. T.J. Hawkinson was the leading receiver. He had 7 receptions for 69 yards. Yeah, I mean, the Vikings get the win there. And Taylor Heineke got the start for the Falcons. He went 21 of 38, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Bijan Robinson, only 51 yards rushing. Tyler Algier, 39 yards rushing and a touchdown. Interesting with Bijan Robinson, the Falcons, Arthur Smith, for some reason, just does not use him. And, it leaves a lot of people questioning, what is going on there. Jonnu Smith was their leading receiver. He had a big touchdown in the game. He had 5 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. But the Vikings get the win with Josh Dobbs. He had to do the cadences on the side. He was practicing his cadences on the sideline, taking snaps from the center of the Vikings. And it was just it was crazy that he had to learn that on the fly. I mean, it was like Baker Mayfield last year being, with the Rams for a second, and then all of a sudden he's got to start. And he ended up winning. Josh Dobbs gets the win. They improved to 5-4. The Vikings. They play the Saints next. Falcons dropped to 4-5. But injury news: Cam Akers, he tore his Achilles on the opposite leg that he broke or tore his Achilles on. So I mean that's just devastating news for him. And I think he's 24 years old. So that's just devastating news for him because he was good last year. Coming off of his Achilles from the previous season, but yeah, it's devastating news there. So it was on the opposite leg of the Achilles that he tore previously. So just devastating news there. But you hope for the best. But a lot of lower leg injuries, and we'll get into that. Get into another one in the final segment here. So now we move on. Ravens all over the Seahawks, 37-3. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this game. The Ravens dominated this game from start to... Actually, the game was scoreless after the first quarter, but then the Ravens outscored the Seahawks 37-3 in the final 3 quarters. The Seahawks only scored in the second quarter. Lamar Jackson, in terms of the stat sheet, he didn't light up the stat sheet, but was efficient, 21 to 26, 187 yards. He ran the ball for 60 yards. The Ravens in total actually almost ran the ball for 300 yards, 298 yards rushing on the day. Their leading rusher ended up being Keaton Mitchell. He had 138 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Gus Edwards had 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justice Hill, 40. Tyler Huntley actually came in through a touchdown pass to Odell Beckham Jr., and it was actually Odell's birthday on Sunday, and that was his first touchdown as a Raven. Their leading receiver was Mark Andrews. Come on, let's be honest. There's no surprise there. But yeah, the Ravens, they get the win, 37-3. Geno Smith, 13 to 28, 157 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. The Seahawks only ran the ball for 28 yards because they were down the whole time. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he was their leading receiver, 63 yards. DK Metcalf had 1 reception for 50 yards. Tyler Lockett, 3 for 32. Listen, what Geno Smith has done with this team, it's been a great story, but I think ultimately, like, if Seattle wants to get back to being like an elite team, they're going to need an upgrade at quarterback because they have the roster. But I don't think Geno Smith is a guy that's going to take this team to the next level. I think he is a solid. I think he's been solid for Seattle these last 2 years as a starter. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is a guy that's going to lead this team to a Super Bowl. I just don't. So I think Seattle's going to need to upgrade a quarterback. Now, Seattle, I think, will be a playoff team ultimately. But, I don't see this team, especially going on the road against some of these better playoff teams in the NFC. I just don't see them doing that. And, and again, it also shows you how good the Ravens are. Another blowout win against an NFC team that's a playoff team. They are really good. They are really good. They are a top team right now in the NFL. Their defense has been playing well. They're running the football effectively. Lamar Jackson's healthy, playing well. This team's going to be tough to beat. This team is going to be tough to beat. Right now, I look at them, the Chiefs and the Bengals, as the top 3 teams in the AFC. I still would put the Chiefs ahead. Ravens I would put ahead of the Bengals as of right now just because of the record-wise, and they already beat the Bengals. But we'll see what happens when these 2 teams meet in a couple weeks. Then we move on to the Cardinals and the Browns. And I did listen to this game on Sunday, and man, I really wish I didn't. Those are 4 hours I'm not going to be able to get back. The Browns winning 27-0. Clayton Tune got the start for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray actually will be starting next week, so that's good. They'll be getting him back. But Clayton Tune just couldn't get anything going. 11 to 20, 58 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Their leading receiver was Marquise Brown with 24 yards. Deshaun Watson, they were saying how on the deep balls he was good, but it's just some of those those short routes, he was not accurate. And he did get bailed out. One of his touchdown passes got deflected up in the air, and Amari Cooper caught it for a touchdown. Deshaun Watson went 19 to 30, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jerome Ford was their leading rusher, 44 yards. Kareem Hunt had a touchdown in this game. Amari Cooper had 5 receptions for 139 yards and a touchdown. David Njoku had 4 receptions for 26 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, the Browns all over the Cardinals. Some of these games I'm going to cover more individually during the week just because there's some stuff I want to talk about with that. One of the best games of the day, Texans-Bucks. Texans winning 39-37 in a shootout. C.J. Stroud, 30 of 42, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. He was awesome in this game. Baker Mayfield, 21 of 30, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Bucks lose another game. That was a heartbreaker for them. They've lost 4 in a row. Texans now get back to 500, and they play the Cincinnati Bengals next week. So that is going to be a great game to keep an eye on. But we will talk about this game more during the week. Then we got the Patriots and the Commanders. Commanders winning 20-17. Commanders improved to 4-5, and this is after trading their better defensive linemen. Sam Howell, 29 of 45, 325 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. The Commanders ran for 124 yards on the ground in this game. Terry McLaurin, of course, was the leading receiver here. And then as for the Patriots, Mac Jones, listen, the Patriots had a chance to go down the field and win the game like they did against Buffalo, and Mac Jones threw a pick. He went 24 of 44, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Ramondre Stevenson had a 64-yard touchdown run, so that was big. And I thought, oh, yeah, the Patriots should win this game, but that was not the case. Demario Douglas, he was their leading receiver, 5 receptions for 55 yards. But, yeah, Patriots dropped to 2-7. Excuse me. I mean, when did you think you were going to see that? So, yeah. And then finally, you got the Saints and the Bears. Saints winning 24-17. I think they forced like 5 turnovers in this game. And I lost this game in the spread pool. I should have won because they had so many chances to go up by multiple scores. And I thought they were going to, but I had a feeling that they were going to miss the field goal, and that's exactly what happened towards the end. But, yeah, they win. They improved to 5-4. They play the Vikings next. And the Bears, they dropped to 2-7. And they will be playing the Panthers on Thursday night. And who knows if Justin Fields is going to play in that game. But, that's the Thursday night game there. So that's all the early window games. So with that, we are going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, I will then go over the late window games. I'll recap all of those. And then that will be it for the show for today. And I, once again, have an eye. Oh, because you know what I did? Because I copy and pasted it when I was setting it up. Yeah, I mean, I was scrambling to get this show out because obviously, things didn't go the way you want them to. But, because we had, stuff going on today to kind of fix it. That's why we started late. So, obviously, I'm scrambling to get everything set up. So, that's why things are maybe seem like they're in disarray. But when we get back from our final break of the show, we will then recap the late window games, and that'll be it. So, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.